Will Freeman, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com, talking about what to do when solving recurring problems becomes a recurring problem in and of itself. This is not for guys who are disorganized. If you want to get organized, if you want to put your lifestyle, your entire life on autopilot, buy my book, How to Get Organized, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com/products. It's like having an assistant or two or three, and you literally don't have to think. All you have to do is look at your TickTick app in the morning. The book was written on the Wunderlist app. The TickTick app is the same but better. And when you follow through on that, you're going to be completely organized. It's probably the most important piece of content on my site. I think it's the most useful, the organizational system, more so even than the sales stuff, which is going to make you more money. It's the foundation of everything that I do. Doing this video right now came from me looking at my TickTick saying, okay, it's time for my daily content, my daily weekday content. This video though is for guys who are already organized and who have a tendency towards perfectionism, have a tendency towards taking massive control over your environment. That's all a good thing, by the way, okay? I think you need to be a control freak. And the more that's within your realm of control, the better things tend to go, okay? I've never had anything work out for me by accident. I've never had a business work by accident. I've never had a situation where I was like, man, I wish I took less control over my environment. But I've had a million examples of, fuck, I should have taken more control over that. Or an area of my life where I let slack. Because everything's my fault, everything's my responsibility, okay? That's how I look at life. So this is for guys who already have a lot of control over their environment and it's becoming a problem. So the first thing you need to do is accept some inefficiencies. I would accept maybe 85% perfection, 85% solutions. I'll give you an example. In Thailand, I had a great system set up for pickup of laundry and delivery. They were at my house within 30 minutes. It was one step away from having an assistant who literally wouldn't even tell me, when they were coming, when they were going, and my laundry and everything would just be set up. That would be the ideal. That was the next step down. Country I'm at in Eastern Europe, I don't have that. The best I have is walking to and from the laundromat. And I give them a week's worth of clothes, drop off another week's worth with the same bag every Saturday, okay? I don't have to go there Saturday, Wednesday, because I have a million of these H&M t-shirts, I have a million of these polos. I can easily get through a week without having last week's laundry. That's not ideal. Ideally, I have an assistant who just does everything and I don't even hear about the fact that my laundry was being picked up or dropped off because they have keys to my place. And to me, I have a lot of my stuff automated through the How to Get Organized system. And it's not particularly hard, the stuff that I need to do. It's just kind of dumb and time consuming. But it is much harder to find someone who's just going to be consistent in doing that stuff. The vast majority of people won't. And, when I travel, they're not going to be coming with me. So I've just accepted Saturdays, Sundays, I've got a certain amount of chores for now, okay? If I have a girlfriend in the future and her job's gonna be house management, then that's probably gonna be handled. But until then, I accept a certain amount of inefficiencies in those areas. And I've accepted the optimization that I have right now. And I'm good with that. So that's number one. Accept more inefficiencies, aim for 85% towards perfection. Aiming towards 100% of perfection is going to drive you insane. And you're going to try and over-control your reality, and it leads to this really uncomfortable hypervigilance that you don't need on shit that's not making you more money. Which brings me to point number 2, prioritize wealth over control. Let me say that again, prioritize wealth over control. Chances are when you took aggressive control over your life, aggressive organization over your life, maybe you even got it from my book, things weren't going particularly well for you. chances are. I mean, my whole process of control started at 20. I had this giant binder of things that I wanted. And before then, I was like the messiest kid in the class. You know, my teacher was always dumping my desk over for it being a mess. Uh, Organized. I never thought I would have a book on how to get organized. I was the last person who would write a book like that. But I was, 20 years old. My life was going nowhere. I was failing out of university. I knew I needed to take massive control. I was disgusted with the way that I was living. My room and everything was a mess. I had nothing going on. And over time, that eventually developed into this organizational system that I sell to you guys today, that I live on today. But with time, I also became, successful. Look, there's a lot more successful people, but I'm doing all right. And wealth, when you prioritize that, okay, now you're more comfortable with certain inefficiencies, because control is not the organization, and control is not the primary purpose of your life. Organization is the foundation. Okay, and don't get me wrong, I'm the guy who wrote the fucking book on organization. It's the foundation, okay, but it is not the priority. Getting paid is the priority. So some 15% inefficiencies, that's okay when you're collecting the check and your money keeps going up. If your Google Drive for your business is not perfect, if there's some documents in there and some of the folders that you haven't used in a while and you haven't gone through and done a massive cleanse on that, it's okay. I've got a quarterly review to clear out my bookmarks, clear out my drives and stuff. And, sometimes I just delete a bunch of stuff. Sometimes I just leave it. I keep it on there for posterity. I don't do it, for 2, 3, 4 cycles in a row, because it's not costing me money. Okay. And it's not important. The important stuff is the environment that I can actually see, that there's not clothes and everything lying everywhere. And, this is true in your business too. There'll be, these organizational projects and stuff like that don't cost you money, or that don't make you money. In fact, they cost you money because they're taking time away from what's most profitable. And you're constantly putting off these profitable projects to do cleanup or to try and get control over another area, because you're actually living in defense. You got smacked a lot of time for not having control over your environment, and you decided to aggressively take control, which is good. You decided to get organized, which is good, but you also decided to be in conservation, to be in defense, to be blocking before you're punching. And I'm telling you, getting out there on offense is the move. Okay, a lot of the best salesmen I knew were really disorganized, and they would get revenue and they would be really good at it. Okay, but then those guys can afford an assistant to handle their disorganization. If you look at Grant Cardone, he's disorganized, but he's got 1 million organized people around him, cleaning up his mess. He even literally uses that phrase. Okay, now you're not going to be in the position to have this staff of people to clean up your mess, but you do need to put offense as a priority. Okay, defense is great, organization's great. Starting the bottom, basement of your house with organization and control and building on top of that is great, but don't prioritize it over offense. Make wealth a priority over control, wealth a priority over organization, and that's going to clarify a lot of stuff. So if your Google Drive is a little bit disorganized, or if you've got a bunch of documents in your phone that you don't use, or any of these, in your business, some systems are not 100% perfect, but they're not costing you money. It's not a big deal, okay? A lot of the time, just doing less, focusing on solving money, right? Because, if you're not making 6 figures, that's your biggest problem. If you don't have 6 figures in your bank, that's your biggest problem. And that should be like, assuming you're healthy, that should be the bulk of your time. Or if you're trying to go from 6 figures to 7 figures, like I am, that's the bulk of your time. Getting that handled, and prioritizing that. And there's just so much more you can do with wealth. It never stops. Like physique, you put on 50, 60 pounds and that's it. With wealth, it's just like, there's guys in the billions. So there's just so much you can do over that, in that level, in that game, that wealth game. Prioritize that over the control game, over the defense, the obsessiveness, the hyper organization coming from someone who fits a lot of those criteria. When you prioritize wealth, especially if you prioritize like savings, making sure that you're adding to that savings target every month, making that a game, it just clarifies things, and you can just relax a lot of that control because you're like, it's all good. You know, I banked 150 grand this quarter, or I banked, 150 grand this year, and I banked 50 grand this quarter. It's like, I'm good. As long as I keep doing that, everything's good. I'm going to be protected because I'm aggressively going after finances, and that's going to protect me a lot more than these organizational control mechanisms that I set up. So I hope you found that useful, man. If you want any help with this stuff, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching. If you want me to tighten up your mindset on a lot of this stuff, or if you're disorganized, like, if you're watching this video and you're like, I wish I was at the point where I needed to loosen up control, then you need to pick up my book, How to Get Organized, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. That's going to get you fully organized. And that's going to make you a fortune, by the way, just having that organizational system. I don't know how people run businesses without that, unless you have an assistant. And, thanks as always for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Much love.